do think we were born free by accident. It was a function of where we were when the Lord told your mom it's time for you to come out here. And that's something we need to take appreciation of when we talk about freedom. I think to live free is a privilege that's been paid for by previous generations, going all the way back to the founding of our nation. When General Washington and a group of untrained troops took on the most powerful army in the world, the British Army. They weren't properly trained, they didn't have proper equipment, they couldn't read. The British referred to them as rebels. Not all of them had proper ammunition, not all of them had the proper guns, and they fought in bitter cold weather. They had this long string of cold winter weather up on the eastern seaboard. But historians have tried to study to figure out how did this rebel army beat the most powerful army in the world. Well, one of the roles of a leader is to get people focused on what is the mission and how everybody can be a part of that mission. General Washington's approach to that, along with the leaders of our country, was to focus on freedom. That the reason we were fighting the British was for freedom. The people that were here wanted a different way of life. And even in that, there's a dichotomy, because not everybody who fought in the Revolutionary War was free. 20% of them were slaves. But they too fought for this promise of freedom. And that's the role of a leader. How do you get people to believe in something, have a common core value about it, that they're willing to do anything it takes to make it happen? And that's the power of the leader. The leader provides the vision, and the leader leads the way. If you ever see a picture of General Washington, he's on a big old white horse. That horse's name is Nelson. He actually has a name. He's either at the front of the formation, or if you see him on a boat, he's sitting at the front of the boat, or standing. He's up front where he can be seen. But General Washington had a couple of characteristics of leadership that I learned from a public school teacher in Point Parish. When I was going off to college, she said, "Look, son, you're not the sharpest knife in the basket. So I'm going to give you a couple things to remember." And she said, number one, learn to do the routine things well. And ladies and gentlemen, after finishing Southern University, I joined the outfit that's all about the routine, the United States Army. And 37 years, 3 months and 3 days later, I'm back in Louisiana. General Washington learned to do the routine. Now think about a leader that you've worked to that don't get the routine down. It's pretty miserable. I've had teachers that didn't get the routine down. Had people in my family don't get the routine. They live a miserable life. They don't know where their keys are. And don't let them get near your computer. They don't remember people's birthdays. They don't remember people's anniversaries. Learn to do the routine. Washington got that down on a much bigger scale as they were fighting this one. Number two, don't be afraid to take on the impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of this nation, the future of Kenner, is about doing the impossible. Some years ago, some citizens around this lake said, "Hey, if we don't do something about this lake, we won't be able to go in it anymore." And what was the message to those citizens? "Oh, you can't go fight them people. You can't clean up that lake." Well, what would have happened if they hadn't taken on the impossible? Just like General Washington took on the impossible. You know, if he had Geraldo on one side and Wolf Blitz on the other, on the eve of the Battle of Trenton, what would they have said? "Look at George going out there in the middle of the night, Christmas. It's cold, and boys ain't got the right clothes and don't have the right training. He's just going to get them boys killed." But at that battle, on Christmas, they killed and captured over 1,000 British soldiers and kept the revolution around. Don't be afraid to take on the impossible. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in about 2 minutes. And you put your clock. I'll be done in about 8 minutes. Number three, don't be afraid to act even while you're being criticized. Ladies and gentlemen, the other side of that impossible are great opportunities. And you're not going to get those things accomplished if you're scared to be criticized. Leadership is not a popularity sport. It's about performance. It's not about popularity. It's about performance. It's on the other side of hard. It's on the other side of a mountain called sacrifice. And if you're not ready to sacrifice, if you're not ready to do the impossible, you're in the wrong business if you want to be a leader. And this business we are talking today, this prayer breakfast, a word of rejuvenation, a word of commitment to work as a team, a word of focus on what's going on in this community. Again, we celebrate our common values. We recognize our differences, but we've got to work together as a team.